Hello, I'm professional attorney and very much amateur musician Scott Lesowitz, and today I'll be talking about the copyright infringement lawsuit that the three big record companies have brought against AI music generation programs Suno AI and Udio AI. So these lawsuits that the record companies brought do not target the actual songs that are created by the AI programs. To do that, the record companies would probably have to show that particular songs created by the AI were substantially similar to specific copyrighted songs. So the lawsuits actually specify that they are just targeting the AI program's use of copyrighted songs for training the AI. Now, this lawsuit is very big for the AI music generation space because of the extreme dominance of the big three record companies. I cannot imagine that anybody could create a decent AI music generation program without being able to use any of the catalog of the three big record companies. And as Rick Beato has emphasized in one of his videos recently, it appears that the record companies are trying to get a piece of the action here and perhaps are trying to nudge out competitors.
All three major labels are suing AI startups for copyright infringement because guess what? They're using all their music to train these AI models. Well, of course they are. How else are they going to train it? Now, companies like Universal are not doing it for the good of their music to protect their copyright owners. What's going on here is they just announced that they're partnering with a company called SoundLab to make AI models of their artists for themselves.
All right, so getting back to the legal issues here, under the US Copyright Act, one of the exclusive rights that copyright owners have is the exclusive right to make reproductions or copies of their work. And while the approach is often criticized, courts generally find that when a computer program makes a copy of an audio file, that counts as copying under the Copyright Act. So one assumption that the lawsuit makes is that these AI music programs are making copies of the copyrighted songs as part of its training and operation of the program. So I think the big question here is going to be whether the courts find that this is fair use or they don't. If it's fair use, then Udio and Suno AI are fine. And if it's not fair use, then probably there's going to be a finding of infringement. And how do I think the courts are going to turn out? I'm not completely sure, but if I were to bet, I would bet that the courts find that this is not fair use and is infringement. So one area of law that likely will come up in any argument is the area of reverse engineering computer programs. Courts have generally held that creating copies as part of reverse engineering to learn about non-copyrighted aspects of a computer program constitutes fair use. For example, in 1992, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals held that it was fair use for an independent video game developer to make copies of the code of Sega Genesis games as part of a reverse engineering process to enable their games to be compatible with the Sega Genesis system. So a big reason why I think courts are likely not to be persuaded by these reverse engineering cases is that in the reverse engineering cases, what's typically happening is that the programmers or whomever are making copies of the underlying copyrighted program because they want to solve some type of technical problem. In contrast here with Udio and Suno, they're copying the songs in order to train the AI programs to make songs that imitate the creative aspects of those copyrighted songs. So, these courts basically are, going to have to struggle through figuring out how they want to analogize this and how, is it like this or is it like that, whether it should be fair use. Ideally, Congress would step in and, make a statute that addresses these types of creative AI generation programs. It definitely feels to me like the copyright owners, the musicians especially, they should have some type of protection here. They should be getting some type of compensation, but at the same time, I'm also worried about essentially the monopoly power that the record companies will have in who gets to use the copyrighted material. So with that, thank you very much for watching and take care.